Hi, Jimmy Kirstein. Today we're going to show you how to process a whole beef tenderloin that I bought at Costco. This particular cut of meat is called a PSMO beef tenderloin. It's PSMO, which stands for peeled side muscle on, and that indicates the side muscle is this chain which we're going to remove, and peeled meaning that it's had most of the fat, it's peeled down to the silver skin. It's really the easy way to buy it, and it's probably the most common way to buy it. I'm going to move that aside. Just looking at this, of course everyone knows this is the other side of the T-bone that we buy. From about this part at the top is called the butt tenderloin, from my hand on down here. And this is the part of the tenderloin that comes off where the sirloin is. And you can buy these frequently, most often in the grocery store. This is the cut you get. It's the butt half. This is mostly a restaurant cut. So if you buy a butt tenderloin, you're not going to get the rest of this, and you're going to get this, and it's going to have a little bit more covering on the inside, and it's also going to have the chain on it as well. The easy thing about this is a good part of it you can do almost without a knife. You're going to need a little bit of knife here. Kind of tear it loose. We just want to start peeling off this fat covering. The rest of it that's left on. See how easy that is? Just kind of get your knife under there, and when we do that, I'll get my knife under here again. You can see that we've exposed just this silver skin. The other piece we're going to do as we do this is this side muscle, which is commonly called the chain as well. We're going to remove that, and so we can kind of pull it loose with your fingers and see it just. You need a little bit of knife action here. You can kind of hold that up, Debbie, where you can see that, where it comes off. The view that I have here. So you just take your knife and just kind of touch in between. You're really not cutting. You're just kind of finishing separating that chain muscle off all the way up. Of course, you can if you want. I mean, the easy thing to do here with this side muscle on is you could just start slicing steaks after you pull the silver skin off. And cook the side muscle, because most often when you buy it in a grocery store, you're going to get the steak with this side muscle on. So for our purpose, we're going to move it, remove it, move it and remove it. You can see here what we've done is taking that off there. Now this piece has a lot of meat on it still. It has a piece of gristle in there as well. What you could do, you can lean it up and take the meat off and use it for a stir fry. Use it for a We're going to pull that gristle off. Use it for like a stroganoff, which I'm going to do in a class here shortly. Just want to get underneath. Let me pull that around here. It's easier for me. Get underneath this gristle piece and just pull that off. It's about the only part you can't eat on here. You can see that gristle. Just want to get your knife underneath that. Slide along there. Pull that right off. And what's left here now is just some meat with some fat on it that you can trim, of course. And then you can take these little side muscle pieces, trimmed of fat and gristle, and just slice them into little thin, nice. Obviously there's a little more gristle there. We'll go back and pull that off. Anyway, you can take this piece and we'll cut that off, set that over there, and we'll work on that later. Just pull the gristle off. Whatever you do, if you're going to grind it or not, you still want to pull the gristle off. And then we can just take and slice that into nice little stroganoff pieces or stir-fry pieces.
How much was this whole piece of meat?
This whole piece of meat, it's expensive, an expensive cut of meat. It was $65. Paid $10.69 a pound for it. I'm going to set that over there.
What grade is it?
It's a USDA choice. That's what Costco sells. Put that there. So we're going to set the chain over there. You could just grind that, of course. You could make it into stir fry. Then we're going to turn our attention back to the tenderloin here. And the next thing we want to do is we want to remove this silver skin that's on there. To do that, you want to just stick your knife under it and tilt your knife up slightly, and you'll just pull off. You can see how clean that is. just the silver skin. You don't want to cut into that meat. It's expensive meat. At $10.69 a pound, it's still a good value because my local Safeway store charges $16.99 or $17 a pound for these. So just get your knife under there, pull that off. See, that's pretty easy. It's okay if it takes a little more time to take it off in pieces. It's better than ruining the piece of meat, cutting into it too deeply. The second part of this is you can see this silver skin comes along underneath here, and again you could just cut steaks off here, but you can also, this is called the wing, and I've seen it called the wing. And the same kind of thing here. You just want to get underneath that and pull that off right there with the fat. And so this is another cut that you could pull that silver skin off the end of that too as well. You could cut this into steaks as well. I'm going to use this as part of my stir fry, but if you wanted to cut it into steaks, you just take off the stir fry, kind of square it up a little bit, maybe at both ends, and then just cut it into maybe 2 nice steaks. You can see what a pretty steak that is. Set those right there. And then with that gone, we can finish removing the silver skin here. Part of the issue with doing this or not doing this is if you leave this on, then you're going to have a steak that has that piece of gristle running through it. So, but also you're left with a little pointed end of the steak here too as well. Now you could go in and you could trim off all of this fat too. I prefer to slice it then trim it. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut that off. This again, we're going to use that for stir fry. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go in and we're going to cut steaks. We'll put those up there. We'll cut some just about 1 inch thick, and you can see as we cut them, we're going to trim the fat off of them. Pretty straightforward. You can see there's really no gristle. We're going to trim a little of that off the outside as we go. Again, you could trim that off before you cut it, but I prefer to trim it as we go because I want to, if I have the opportunity to leave a little fat on the steak, I want to do that too. The fat, especially this fat on the tenderloin, is really a nice piece of fat. So again, we're getting down around here. We're going to pull that off. Looking nice. You see how beautiful those steaks are. Now when you get down, as we work our way down, you'll notice that they get smaller and smaller. I'm going to go ahead and trim that. We'll put that in the grind. There's a couple of things you can do. You could cut it really thick and then push it down, kind of like these steaks. Or you could butterfly it, which means cutting almost through but not quite, then taking a slice off and then opening it up like that. We'll come down just a little closer there. And we want to trim the back half of that too. That's a very nice steak as well. And once you get down to this piece here, it's really, you're kind of to the point where this is, again, this is going to be stir fry, or it's going to be beef and noodles, beef tips. Sometimes you'll see that on a restaurant menu. You'll see tenderloin tips with pasta. That's where this comes from. This is part of the reason why tenderloin costs so much, because this is an extremely tender piece of meat, but it's not a tenderloin steak. Again, you could butterfly this as well. We'll do that. So we can get one more steak out of it. That doesn't look too bad. We'll go ahead and do that. So there you go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 nice steaks. We have some trim here. We'll do that same with this tail piece. We're just going to trim the fat off of it. If we're going to slice it, it's okay to trim it. I'm going to take that, these pieces. We're going to lose that. And we're just going to take these and we're going to cut these into stroganoff pieces, quick stir fry pieces, whatever you want to use it for. Any kind of little gristle, you want to remove that. We don't need that. So there you go. Pretty quick and easy, and you can see you save a lot of money doing it. Plus, it's a pretty easy cut to practice on, and these are gorgeous. These are prettier than the steaks you're going to get in anything other than a gourmet restaurant or a upscale grocery store, because it's going to have the chain stuck to it here. It's going to have more fat around it. These are just absolutely gorgeous. I encourage you to give this a try.